What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Pokemon Scizor in Pokemon Go, especially related to the Ultra League. Now, this Pokemon has had its presence throughout the Ultra League, but now more than ever, I think that this Pokemon really does need to be highlighted. If you aren't familiar with what has been going on in Pokemon Go, there ended up being an update to some of the movesets, and it was kind of coined as this whole grass-type feature, but in reality, it ended up being an excuse for them to be able to go ahead and nerf Giratina, and because Giratina ended up getting nerfed and it was just so dominant in the meta for the Ultra League, it truly did end up shifting around what Pokemon are now going to be the best. Some kind of new team building strategies are going to be needed to be put into play. So I kind of put something in the title saying something like, you know, Alolan Muk is out, Scizor is in, and I want to kind of give a little bit of a backstory, and then of course we'll jump into this. So I ended up finding a team using Alolan Muk and managed to push up to about 2,400 trophies. Then once this entire change ended up happening, I ended up finding myself just constantly losing and losing and losing, and then I decided to go ahead and take a look at it, and then what I ended up finding was that Alolan Muk really does not stand a chance against a lot of the top meta Pokemon in this new meta. So let's go ahead and discuss this. As far as the movesets are concerned, I'm going to be using Snarl, Sludge Wave, and then Dark Pulse for Alolan Muk, and then finally for Scizor, we're going to see Bullet Punch, Iron Head, and then finally Night Slash. Now, Bullet Punch is very important in this case, but I'm not saying that like Alolan Muk and Scizor are necessarily like meant to replace each other directly, like they're not the same type. Yes, they could kind of like attack from the dark typing or whatever, but what I mean is just how much they can cover the meta. I think that the Scizor is the new Alolan Muk. So let's go ahead and take a look at it so you can kind of see. So when we go ahead and scroll through this, what this is going to end up showing is everything versus an Alolan Muk, and then of course everything versus a Scizor, and it just goes down. Anything that is an X, like a little X, means that Alolan Muk will be pretty close to a Giratina altered form, and then a big X means that the Pokemon is going to be able to absolutely crush the opponent. So I just want to go ahead and point that out. But as we go ahead and circle through here, what you are seeing is that Scizor has so many more X's going on than Alolan Muk. And Alolan Muk has like a huge hole in a lot of ways because it can't necessarily cover a Swampert, right? It's going to be weak to those ground type attacks. It can't beat an Articuno, and those two Pokemon are becoming extremely popular in the meta. Yet, you have a Pokemon like Scizor that's able to kind of pick up Articuno, for example, and be a very good hard counter in this case. So kind of taking a look at this really got me curious as to how good this Pokemon actually would perform. So I wanted to go ahead and showcase two different battles showcasing Scizor. So let's go ahead and jump into this. You may also notice that I have an Ampharos on the team, and maybe we'll end up doing an episode very soon on that one. I think that it kind of has some viability, but we're here to focus on Scizor, so let's go ahead and jump into the battle. So the first opponent that we are going to end up going up against is going to end up leading with a Venusaur, and because we are using that Dragon Breath on the Giratina, that's just going to do like a lot of damage. I don't even necessarily like have a hard counter to Venusaur if you think about it, because of the issue with us using Scizor with Bullet Punch. Even something like that Fury Cutter, which is a bug type move, it's not going to be useful against Venusaur in this case because we just don't have that moveset on it. I will, however, say that people don't necessarily know exactly what moveset you have on your Scizor, so I have gone up against a few Venusaurs and they have actually switched their Venusaur out because they assumed I had a bug type quick move, even though I didn't. So anyways, a little bit of a strategy here is that it's very smart to go ahead and try to use some Night Slashes to try to bait out some shields, especially if you're going up against a fairy type attacker, because they do not want to end up getting hit by something like Iron Head, because Iron Head's going to take it out. Like, it's going to do so much damage to it, and it takes so long for these Pokemon to kind of get their charge move up. But as far as the damage is concerned, man, Scizor is just so beastly with that Bullet Punch move. It's almost looking like a Charm type attacker when you're going up against something that is of course weak to the Steel type, which is why it's going to be helpful going up against those Ice type Pokemon that are starting to show up a little bit more in the meta. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and try and hit it with the Iron Head. I mean, we're not like expecting super effective damage or anything like that. I just wanted to see how much damage it would do, and we ended up taking out, which is just fantastic. And then finally, just a little bit of a nightcap on it. we do manage to get off the Night Slash on the Giratina, which will be super effective. So basically, you just got to see how Scizor just absolutely dominated. It was able to take out the Clefable on its own. It was able to finish off the Venusaur, do a significant portion of damage to the Giratina, and then finally I can just come in and clean up with that Giratina no problem. Of course, their Giratina is going to be doing super effective damage to me, but because I have Dragon Breath, it should be able to give me the leg up, and then of course having that extra shield, we'll be able to live from this one. So ladies and gentlemen, we didn't even have to use Ampharos in this, which is why I decided, you know what, I probably just need to go ahead and get another episode kind of going for that one, especially with kind of the results that end up happening in this case. So now let's go ahead and jump into the second and final battle that we will be talking about today. Now with this battle in specific, we are once again seeing a Charmer. Those are starting to become a little bit more common, at least at like the level that I'm at. So I'm going to go ahead and switch, but they know the power of the Scizor, so they're going to go ahead and switch off into a Poliwrath. Now, of course, that is not looking good for us at all. I wanted to see how much damage Ironhead would do, even though it is not effective. And it kind of did okay, but I wish it could have done a little bit more. But here's what's going to happen. What I'm thinking I should do is maybe try to shield, because it's very possible that I might be able to make it out of this situation. That's going to be dependent on whether they shield bait or not. Or are they just going to go directly for the Dynamic Punch? So here's kind of the risk. I'm saying, you know what? I'm not going to shield, because if they Ice Punch, I can make it out. But unfortunately, they ended up going with the Dynamic Punch, and I wasn't able to circle out the time. But hey, we're going to go ahead and go in with Ampharos, so you guys can kind of see exactly how it's going to do. And we are going to end up getting hit with a Dynamic Punch, which kind of hurt. In hindsight, who knows? Maybe I should have blocked that. Not really sure. But I wanted to go ahead and quick move it down with Volt Switch. That way I could have some energy going into the turn. We're going to go ahead and hit it with a Thunder Punch. And because Thunder Punch doesn't require that much energy, that means I'm actually going to be able to get off Thunder Punch multiple times against Clefable. So even though I've got nothing super effective against it, it really doesn't matter in this case. And I'm thinking, you know what? Things are looking good right now. I'm going to be able to take down this Clefable, you get down right to the end, and go into the final Pokemon. But guess what? That kind of depends on what you end up going up against the last Pokemon. So it was very smart of them to kind of keep their Scizor in the back, just in case this matchup ended up happening later on, which it ended up doing. And it ended up getting an attack buff because of that Night Slash getting the buff. I mean, I've got no chance. I honestly already didn't have a chance. I only have one shield, but he had a shield as well, so maybe if the shields were a little bit different, I would have been able to do this. But I thought it would be kind of interesting to, instead of showcasing Scizor from my own perspective, to actually go up against an opponent that ended up using a Scizor as well, and you can see just how beastly it actually ends up being. So definitely GG's to that opponent. But anyways, I hope you did enjoy this episode. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about Scizor, and you're actually considering using this Pokemon. Because it was good in the meta in the past, I think that a lot of people may already have one powered up, but maybe faded out from it. But now is the time to maybe step back into it. Anyways, let me know what you think about Scizor in the comment section below. Do you plan on using it? Anything and everything, let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you next time. If you want to develop a deeper connection, I would highly recommend you to check out Patreon. We've got a lot of really cool things going on over there. Check out all of these supporters that we have. We are almost up to 100. We are also posting some special content, some behind the scenes work. And if that is the type of thing that interests you, I would highly recommend you to check it out.